Welcome everyone. I'm so excited that you've decided to join us this evening for our Tall Tales workshop. For me personally, this is a new area that I'm going to be learning about, and I'm really excited that we have Jim with us tonight, who will be teaching us so we can learn lots and lots about this wonderful opportunity to compete. I believe Janet covered most of the essential information so far. Disclaimer, we are being recorded, so if you don't want your face shown, please make sure that your camera is turned off. And as we're running it more of a workshop, please make sure that your mic is muted unless you have been asked to speak, just to keep things nice and clear for everyone listening. Our speaker this evening has had the honor of organizing and hosting the Sherwood Park Tall Tales contest for the past 10 years. Tall Tales was the first Toastmasters contest that he competed in, and he says that it is by far his favorite contest. Tonight, he plans to share with us the key to developing a successful tall tale. Here now is Jim oh man, I even practiced it, Guloien, with how to prepare and present a tall tale. Please welcome Jim.
Thank you very much, Melissa. I wouldn't worry yourself about that. I've had people that asked me how to pronounce my last name. I've told them, they've repeated it back to me exactly as I said it. And then when it was time to introduce me, they said something totally different. So that just happens. That's the problem with my particular name. So let me begin by getting my slides on the screen. And share screen. So welcome everyone to how to prepare and present a tall tale. Over the next hour, I'm going to be talking to you about what it takes to make a good tall tale. And then roughly halfway during that hour, we will actually spend some time preparing a tall tale and presenting them. So it should be lots of fun, lots of interactivity tonight. So that is my slide, but I'm not actually running the slide. Let's go this way. There we go. So the first question one would typically ask is, what exactly is a tall tale? And a tall tale are stories written from one's imagination. The story can be funny or silly. They're filled with exaggerations, similes, metaphors, and lots of descriptive language. It's always told as if it were true, even though the listeners know that the story could never really happen. Now, that is a definition. It'd be nice to sort of have an example. So what I'm going to present shortly is the winning tall tale at the 2015 District 96 Tall Tales contest held at their conference. The winner was Stefano Casalter, and the particular tall tale is called The Gift. So while I'm just changing my screen for a moment to present the video to you, let me tell you a few things about this particular tall tale that you're going to see. First of all, he makes reference to a person by the name of Gene Vickers. Gene Vickers was the district director at the time, and he sort of incorporates some things from the convention into his tall tales, which is funny for them, but sort of an inside joke for us. So let me tell you, warn you with regards to that. He also refers to someone named Sharuk. Sharuk, I imagine, was someone who made himself known at the conference. And finally, he talks about the Rocky Point Toastmasters, and that's his home club that he is referring to. So here now is The Gift with Stefano Casalter.
Our next competitor, Stefano Casalter. The Gift, Stefano Casalter.
My Italian grandmother, my Nonna, always used to say, it's better to give than it is to receive. Mr. Chair, fellow Toastmasters, and all the welcome guests, I've got some bad news. My Nonna recently passed away. No, it's okay. She lived a long life. She was 189 years old. The reason she lived so long is she's such a religious lady. She'd get dressed up in her black dress and every single day walk to church 20 miles uphill in the snow. And that's where she'd pray for my soul because she didn't like the choices I was making in life. And she was always pointing out my imperfections. Stefano, you're too skinny. Stefano, when you gonna get married? Stefano, when you gonna have the children? Stefano, now you're too fat. Now you're too skinny. There was a constant circle of criticisms I could never escape. But I love my Nonna. Before she died, I visited her in the hospital. And she gave me a little envelope and said, Stefano, take this gift and wear it so I can be with you for always. Okay, Nonna, I can do that. You know, I didn't think much of it until today, before the contest. I opened up the envelope, and inside was a gold necklace. I thought, wow, isn't this lucky? This is going to be my good luck charm for the contest. As I put it on, I did the clasp up, and something happened. All the lights went out in the house. I felt a cold chill rack my body, and then bam, right before me, 12 feet tall, bathed in the holy light, and a black dress. Was Nonna. Stefano, now I know you've been a better boy. I couldn't believe it. Here was Nonna back to criticize me from beyond the grave. Stefano, you bad like this. I smell the devil weed on you. Deep marijuana. But Nonna, I got a ride earlier from Gene Vickers. He said it was medicinal. For growing hair. Come on, Stefano. And your body is at the temple. You've been defiling your temple. But no, not only McDonald's has the Angry Angus burger on the sale. I only had 6. Not to mention, I just got out of the car with Gene Vickers. Come on, Stefano. And you've been having the impure thoughts about someone other than your wife. But Nonna, how can you resist Sharuk Galawal in a dress? Come on, Stefano. You know listening to me your whole life. Now I'm going to show you what's to come. She reached down with her big hand and grabbed my arm and pulled me down, down, down. When I opened my eyes, I was on a rocky outcrop. Where was I? Looking down below, I saw a sea of lava and molten magma. Inside, there were bodies reaching out, screaming and writhing. Oh my gosh, there's Charles Manson, the serial killer. There's Gene Vickers smoking devil weed. The entire membership of Rocky Point Toastmasters. I was in hell. Just as I realized that, there was a big puff of smoke beside me. And there, standing there, was the devil himself, Donald Trump. Stefano, you're fired! He pointed his trident at me. Flames leapt from the top and struck me in the back. I was on fire. My jacket's not on fire. I was back in my room. I ripped the necklace off in the struggle. Was it the necklace? Or just my imagination? I don't know, but I'm not eating one of Gene Vickers' brownies anymore. I wasn't taking any chances. I put that in the envelope, and on the way to the contest, I went to the mailbox. Because it is better to give than it is receive. To Gene Vickers. Enjoy. Love, Stephanie. Mr. Chair.
Okay, so there you have it. I hope you enjoyed that. That one makes me laugh every time I see it. So over the next little while, we're going to be talking about how to present and prepare a tall tale, and I'm going to be using examples from what you saw in that presentation. Let me just do a screen share once again. And now we'll get my slides going. Okay, so first with regards to prepare. So in a tall tale, it is a speech. So of course it should have an opening. And this is where you set the scene for your the story that you're going to tell. In the case of the gift, Stefano talks about his Italian grandmother and his Nonna, and how she used to say it's better to give than receive. So he started to set the scene there. In the body of the speech, of course, you tell the story. And that was the entire story of how he received the gift and ended up giving away the gift, which was his conclusion, which wraps up the story. And he did that by mailing the necklace to Gene Vickers, because it's better to give than receive. So he ties back the conclusion in with how he started the open. Now, given that a tall tales is a speech, it's also a story, and every good story has characters. And in this case, he's introduced the characters who are mainly Stefano himself and his Italian grandmother. And because the tall tale is relatively short, it is okay to use stereotypes as long as it doesn't offend anyone. I don't think his Nonna, his old Italian grandmother, I don't think anyone would be offended by that particular stereotype. The story also has to have a plot. So you tell a story, or better yet, you act it out. He acts out the entire conversation with his Nonna, even to the point of stomping on his jacket to put out the fire. So a lot of acting with regards to that. And that's what makes a tall tale different from a lot of other types of humorous speeches is acting it out and really embodying the speech. As with any story, there should be a climax. So you reach the height of the action. And that happens in this story where he meets the devil, and the devil sets him on fire. The devil happens to be Donald Trump. And it's always nice if somehow you can put into your tall tale a surprise twist that can add a little bit of extra humor to the presentation. And in this particular case, you saw that when he turned his back, there was his shirt, was burnt. So obviously, perhaps this actually did happen. A little bit of humor with regards to that. Now, a tall tale should have lots of descriptive language. And so in this particular case, he told us all about hell. He talked about the molten lava, the body screaming out and writhing in pain. And he told us about who was there. He had Charles Manson, he had this poor Gene Vickers that he's making fun of, and he had his whole Toastmasters club. You should also give us lots of detail, and don't be afraid to exaggerate when doing so. When he described his Nonna, she not only lived a long time, but she lived for 189 years. She went to church every day, walked 20 miles with her little chair, her aide, each day to church, uphill and also in the snow. And then when Nonna reappears, she doesn't reappear as her normal height. She is 12 feet tall. So he's looking up at her and she's looking down at him. So typically, if you want to describe something, if it's big and a tall tale, you make it humongous. It is the most big, huge thing that you can imagine. On the other hand, if it happens to be small, then it's microscopic. It is almost impossible to see. Hence, one likes to exaggerate. So we're going to do a little practice with regards to exaggeration, sort of like a mini table topic. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you a subject, and I would like you to use some exaggeration with regards to that subject. And for about a minute, tell us about the particular item that I'm showing on the screen. So for example, how about telling us about your first car? And I'm going to pick on Janet for that. Janet, tell us about your first car.
Oh my goodness, thank you. I was a poverty-stricken single parent with not a penny to my name. So I was taken to the back lot and shown the ricketiest little car that you ever saw. A Plymouth Valiant slant 6 engine. It had a heart of gold that would start in the deepest winter. And it just had heart. It was a rust bucket, but it took me places. It also had a habit of stalling out at the 3rd intersection, so I'd have to pop into neutral and keep on the gas. But hey, that's minor. It got me to A to B, and I was a single parent, and that was my first car. Back to you.
All right, so lots of nice description with regards to it. I think I would have added a little bit more with regards to the exaggeration. Like, it was so rusty that it was only the rust that was holding the thing together. And things such as that. I mean, don't be afraid to lie, because Tall Tales is all about lying. It's basically what I'm teaching. Okay, so now how about telling us about the worst snowstorm ever? And I'm going to ask Max to respond to this one.
Thank you. The worst storm ever. Boy, I remember that extremely well. The snow was blowing sideways. It was absolutely terrible. And during the night, it blew up against the fences, and it made the fences 10 feet wide. And so when I had to try and get out there and move that snow, I had a microscopic tractor at the time. And actually, you could probably call it a shovel more than a tractor. So trying to move that 10-foot wall of snow, I started at 7 o'clock in the morning, and by 10:30 the next day, I was halfway through that snowbank. It was crystalline hard. I've never seen snow come down like that in my life. And so I hope and pray that I never have to experience the snowstorm from hell ever again. Back to you.
All right, thank you, Max. That was excellent. I love the exaggeration for the length of time that it took to remove that snow. 10 feet tall, 10 feet wide, and comparatively a microscopic tractor to move the snow. Well, I'm sure we've all had bad experiences at restaurants. So how about telling me about how bad the food was at an awful restaurant? And I'm going to go to Marg for this one.
Is that me?
That's you.
Hi. I had the worst experience you could ever imagine at a restaurant. I was sitting there in my absolutely gorgeous, frilly princess dress. I had my hair all done, my makeup was perfect, I had earrings on. We'd ordered our cocktail, and when the waiter came with the cocktail, he had his tray out on his head like this. And of course, they were all the red Singapore slings. They looked so delicious. And as he reached from the tray to put the Singapore sling to my date, he dumped the rest of the tray all over my dress, all over me, all over everywhere. There was red Singapore sling on the whole table, all over me. And of course, I did the stand up and scream so the whole restaurant knows. And I thought, can it get any worse? Well, let me tell you, the food wasn't that great either. The servings were microscopic. They were more interested in presentation than they were in having something to eat. The worst part was I moved a tiny little piece of lettuce off of my salad. And under it was a slimy maggot sitting there looking at me. Not only was I soaking wet, my stomach started to churn, and I decided it was time to vamoose. Over to you, Jim.
Okay, well done. Yes, we just imagine this beautiful dress and this awful red Singapore sling all over it, and then the awful food. I think I've been to that restaurant, which is a little concerning. All right, thank you everyone for your participation with regards to that. Let's now talk about the next element that one can consider putting into their tall tales, and that is dialogue. And it's always better in a tall tale that rather than tell us what was said, is to bring it to life with actual dialogue. I mean, imagine if Stefano had simply said, my Nona used to tell me I was too skinny and ask when I was going to get married. Now compare that to instead his acting it out when he says, Stefano, you too skinny. Stefano, when are you gonna get married? I can't do the accent quite as well as he did, but I mean, that brings it to life. It adds humor with regards to the accent, but it also adds to having an entire story enacted in front of you. Often with regards to tall tales, they're told in first person. So in this particular case, Stefano was one of the key characters in it, and so he tells it as himself. So often a tall tale, you'll talk about what happened to you, and sometimes you'll say what you're thinking, so that your thoughts will be presented to the audience as well. So that's all about preparing a tall tale. The next portion is with regards to how to present a tall tale. Now, a tall tale is an exaggerated story, and an exaggerated story calls for exaggerated presentation. So with regards to facial gestures, your facial gestures should be big, exaggerated, as is everything with regards to a tall tale. So in that presentation, it's a little hard in the video to see Stefano's face that well, but whenever he does Nona, he screws up his face and she's sort of disapproving looking. And so that's how he presents Nona. When he presents himself, it's like he's surprised or he's fearful. He has that expression on his face. Body language is also important, and it's important to act it out. I mean, he talks about the cold chill that appeared just before Nona appears before him after passing away. He then talks about the necklace, and he puts it on his neck. And when he takes it off, and he puts it into an envelope. So he acts it all out. And then there's good use of stage. He uses the stage fantastically in that, first of all, when he is acting out Nona is always on the left side of the stage, and Stefano, I keep wanting to say Stefano as Nona calls him, is on the right hand of the stage. So he always switches between the two. And so if he's on the left, you know it's Nona. If he's on our right, he's being Stefano. And then when he's talking about the hell and he's describing it, he goes across the front of the stage, pointing out the people that he's seeing there. So very good use of the stage. Now, beyond that, vocal variety should also be over the top. And so that means that you will appropriately lower and raise your voice with regards to the presentation. So when he's talking about Nona's passing, his voice gets a little lower and softer. And then he quickly turns that around, excitedly saying, but there's a good thing to it. She lived to be 189. The other thing that he does is when he raises his voice when there's something exciting, when he's describing some of the action. And that's another part that he adds, is altering the tempo or the speed of which he's talking. So he speeds things up when he is excited, when he's talking about hell and when he's talking about a trident being thrown at him. Lots of volume and speaking quickly. You can also use use vocal variety to distinguish the characters that you are talking about. So definitely we have vocal variety to distinguish Nona from himself. And in this case, you could use accents. So, Stefano, you're too fat. Oh, I can't do it anymore. And I'm not even gonna try. All right, let's now move into another practice exercise. And this is with regards to vocal variety. And just like the other one, I'm going to give you a situation. I'd like you to use some vocal variety with regards to it. So first up will be, you are a child explaining to mom how you broke the television. And I'm going to ask Joan to respond to this one.
Thank you, Jim. I'm so excited to tell you how I broke the TV. I got in a fight with my brother, but it wasn't my fault. He's a really mean brother. And he's always trying to get me in trouble. The truth is, he was throwing things at me and I ducked. And then he blamed it on me. I don't think I had anything to do with it. This is called self-preservation. My mom, do you think that I would do something like that? No. I know you're too good for this. I bet you it was your brothers. Yes, it was Ernie. Ernie's always trying to get me in trouble. And the TV? We only have one. Do you think I would break it on purpose? Never. What are you going to do about Ernie? Because he created all the problems. I'm too good for that. Back to you, Jim.
Okay, well done. Poor Ernie gets the blame for everything. Good vocal variety there, including introducing mom in there, and well done. So the next one is, you are an elderly person offering your advice. It can be advice about anything. And I'm going to give this one to Cheryl.
You know what? When I was your age, I'm going to tell you how we did it. We made deals. We never paid for anything. You see, I'm Scottish. You see those socks? I screwed those socks on. So you will never pay full price for anything. You barter. You find a good way to do it. But that's not the new way that we do things, Grandpa. What are you talking about? That is the way we do things. It's the way we've always done things. That's the way your great-great-grandfather did things, and that's the way you're going to do things. You remember that. Because in the future, you are going to have to save some money. Grandpa, that's what the stock market's for. What are you talking about? The stock market crashed. Well, nowadays we also have Bitcoin. Bit what? Bitcoin. That's where I'm going to make my fortune. Ugh, kids these days. Back to you.
Well done. It sounds a lot like my grandpa's what it did. Sort of a I can't think of the proper word, and so I won't insult him with that. Anyhow, I like the throw in of the Scottish and the cheapness of the Scottish people.
Jim, I would
yes.
use the word curmudgeon.
That's the word I was looking for. Thank you. Yes, excellent curmudgeon sounding voice there. Okay, final vocal variety practice exercise is you are a very tired speaker. Now, I think I saw Carolyn in the camera there. Is she nearby, Max?
Yes.
Then
I'm here. I'm here.
All right, this one is yours, Carolyn.
Thanks, Tim. Well, hi, everybody. It's been a long flipping day today, I'll tell you. I've been everywhere, man. And I'm just exhausted. So what was it I was supposed to talk to you about today? Oh, yeah, being a mentor. Oh, well, mentor. Oh, yeah. I've had a few good mentors in my time. There was a guy from, what was that club? When I was the area governor. Oh, yeah, that was from Telus Club. I think his name was Jim something, started with a G. Could never remember that guy's last name, or if I could, I couldn't say it. But he told lots of great stories, Yeah, lots of great stories. He's one of the few guys I know that's been in Toastmasters longer than I have. Yeah, tired. It's been a long day. Trying to get my mind to stop spinning long enough to think about what I'm trying to say to you. Maybe I should have written it down. I was thinking about a few of my mentors that used to say, oh, don't write anything down. You just kind of think about it off the cuff when you're walking up to the front. And I thought, yeah, right. And how am I going to do that again? I think if you're going to take a mental note, you're supposed to have something to write on. And I don't think I have anything to write on today. Yeah, well, find yourself a good mentor. That'll help you out. Back to you.
All right. Not quite the mentoring presentation there, Carolyn. Well done. I guess part of the dangers with regards to this is when I turn it over to someone in the audience that somehow work me into it as well. So that's not so good. But I think I've had speeches, sadly, like that I was that sleepy. All right. So I've talked about preparing and presenting a tall tale, and now we're going to give it a try. So the Zoom master would have split the crowd into two groups, hopefully, and one group is going to stay here in this room, and the other group is going to go off to breakout rooms, and those breakout rooms will consist of 3 to 4 people each. And your task for 10 minutes will be to select a topic, and I will give you 3 tall tale subjects to pick from. And you are to prepare a 2 to 3 minute tall tale. And after 10 minutes, you will come back into a room. Meanwhile, I will be presenting to the group that stays here a little bit more with regards to tall tales. But when the breakout room closes and you come back here, we will switch. So the group that stayed here in this room will instead then move on over to the breakout room and have 10 minutes to prepare their responses. The tall tale, and then after that 10 minutes, you'll all come back into this room, and then we will go through them one at a time, and you get to present them. So again, 2 to 3 minutes. How you choose to present it is up to you. So if there's 3 or 4 in your group, you can each have a part about that tall tale, or you could pick on one lucky soul to be the tall tale person, and they present it for the group. How you do it is up to you. So does anyone have any questions before I show you the tall tale subjects? I'm not hearing any. So here are our subjects. First is, a funny thing happened on my way to the Toastmasters meeting. Second is, let me tell you about my preparations for the zombie invasion. And third, dear diary, today I finally got my revenge. Now, I would perhaps, if you can, take a screenshot of that screen, because unfortunately what I have here won't be available in your breakout rooms. I'm also going to upload to the chat a file with the same contents.
Oh,
So let me just do that, and you could potentially download that as well. And I'm in the wrong directory, so let me just get it for a moment. Okay, so I just sent to the chat something called talltalesubjects.txt. Please download that. That's an alternative to taking a screenshot. And now I'll ask the Zoom master to start sending people off to their breakout rooms. Okay, I see a breakout room with 6 people in it. That's excellent. So I guess the rest of us get to learn more about tall tales, in particular tall tales contests. So let me screen share again. And present. All right, so get that. All right, so if you were to look up in the Toastmasters contest rulebook, you will find that there is indeed a Tall Tales contest listed there. Toastmasters International has in total 5 different contests. And what they say to the districts is they say you have to have one contest for sure, and that's the international contest. And then you can choose any 3 of these 4 other contests. And the other 4 are the humorous contest, the international, sorry, I already said international, the humorous contest, the evaluation contest, the table topics contest, and of course the Tall Tales contest. So our particular district hasn't held Tall Tales for a long time, and I'll tell you a little bit more about that in a while. But some districts have Tall Tales every year that they hold. So it is still a contest that is different parts of Toastmasters International handles each year. So according to the contest rulebook, the subject of a tall tale speech must be a highly exaggerated, improbable nature and have a theme or plot. Humor and props may be used to support or illustrate the speech. Doesn't really say a lot about what a tall tale is. Just to give you some background with regards to history, our predecessor districts, so before we became District 99, we were all part of District 42. And back in the time frame from 1982 to 1992, there was a district tall tales contest. In fact, at that time in our district, we held 6 contests a year. So there was international, there was humorous, there was tall tales, there was evaluation, there was table topics, and another special one for Canada, the Canada Day contest, which was like international but held, the subject had to be about Canada. So anyhow, these are the winners of the District 42 Tall Tales contest in those years from 1982 to 1992. I think the year that I competed was back in 1990, and I didn't get as far as district, but I did happen to get beaten by Nick Zahn that year at the division level, and he had an excellent speech, I remember. So when one looks at the judging criteria for a humorous speech with regard versus a tall tale speech, you'll notice this. First of all, with regards to the humorous contest, there's a lot of points given towards content. 55% of the points goes to content, 30% goes to delivery, and then finally 15 to language. Tall Tales is much different from that. It's all about the delivery, it seems. 55% of the points goes to delivery, so that's where you have the exaggerated presentation that I talked about. Only 30% is about content, and then 15 towards language. The timing is also quite different with regards to a humorous speech and a tall tale speech. The humorous speech is a typical 5 to 7 minute speech, and they disqualify you if you speak for less than 4 minutes and 30 seconds or more than 7 minutes and 30 seconds. Tall Tales, on the other hand, is short. It's 3 to 5 minutes. And so if you speak for less than 2 minutes and 30 seconds or more than 5 minutes and 30 seconds, you will be disqualified. So whenever I hold the contest each year at the Sherwood Park Tall Tales contest, I emphasize very much towards the speakers that they have to get their timing right, because it's really sad when someone has a wonderful tall tale and they end up being disqualified because they went over. The tall tale is a lot of content and humor in a short period of time. In fact, if we were to look at timing and how, just get an idea as to how long a tall tale speech should be. According to the US National Center for Voice and Speech, the average conversation rate for English speakers is 150 words per minute. So if you were to do a tall tale, which is 3 to 5 minutes in length, then your speech should be roughly 450 to 750 words. So if you were to write a tall tale speech, that's the number of words. Use your word processor's word count to try and work within that time frame. That number of words, 450 to 750 words. And of course, if you have a lot of action and so forth, that's going to take away from that. If you would like further information with regards to tall tales and some detail, I have a website that I have called the SherwoodParkTallTales.com website. And under that is a lot of information that I provide to my contestants each year to help them compete in the contest. So first of all, there is a copy of the contest rules. The contest rules are slightly different posted on this website than the Toastmasters International, but only with regards to who is eligible to compete. My one of contest doesn't have to disqualify people because they're a district governor or anything like that, or area director. Just about anyone is eligible to compete. Previous years, you had to be a member of a Sherwood Park club. Last year, I opened it up and it was anyone within our district was eligible, and we did it online. There's a copy of the judge's ballot there, so you can see in detail what I presented. There's 2 articles from the Toastmasters magazine on how to prepare a tall tale. There is 2 videos on writing and presenting a tall tale speech, a lot of the content of which I've presented here, so you might see some overlap there. And then there are 15 sample speeches, of which the gift is at the top of my list, so that's the favorite. And sometime after this presentation, I will post a copy of the YouTube video from our last contest on there, because I've forgotten to do that. So I will put that up. So are there any questions? Anyone have any questions they would like to ask with regards to tall tales? Silence is fine. It means I've been a wonderful presenter and there are absolutely no questions. As I said, one of the biggest things is keeping it under that time. But it is a lot of fun. It is fun to watch. I've had this is the only contest that I've ever held for which I've had judges who've asked me to invite them back next year to be judges because they enjoyed it that much. So that's one really cool thing about it. And I see we have 2 minutes left with regards to before you guys get your turn at putting together a tall tale. And I get to repeat what I just said. So, okay, do we have everyone?
We do.
Now, if I was well organized, I would know what groups are which, but I don't. So I am going to count on your honesty and willingness to participate, to volunteer to present. So can we start with the first group, and please volunteer to be that first group. And again, our timing is going to be, Madam Timer, 2 to 3 minutes. So green at 2, yellow at 2:30, and red at 3. So who would like to start? Don't everyone jump at once.
Dorothy, are you ready?
Yes, I am ready. Yes.
Okay, I'll turn it over to you.
Okay, are you ready for me now? Okay. This is a story about the squirrels that lived in our trees. We knew we had squirrels, partly due to the reason that the sunflower seeds that I often sat on my deck and ate would keep disappearing if I left the bag out. The cat food was disappearing quite quickly, even though the cat was still skinny. And quite often my garden boots that I left on the deck were full of various odd items and food particles. So I knew that squirrel had been up to monkey business. And so one day I went out, made myself a drink and a sandwich, and then set it out on my deck table. And then I went in again because I wanted a piece of fruit as well. So when I came back, half of my peanut butter sandwich was eaten. Now that was annoying. So I went back in, and I was pretty sure that it was a squirrel that must have eaten it. So I ended up taking the sandwich back in, and then I made another sandwich, and this time I put hot sauce and jalapeno peppers on it, and then I also made another sandwich for myself, but I left that one out for the for the squirrel when I went back out to the deck. And so I sat there eating my sandwich, and then I saw the squirrel creeping up. He was going to, quite interested in that other sandwich I had sitting there. And so he started nibbling on it on the edges, and he was having a good time. And all of a sudden he got to the hot sauce section, and he leaped and he jumped. And he went, and he hissed and he ran up the tree. And that was the day I finally got revenge on the squirrel that had been stealing and hiding things. And that's the end.
Okay, well done. And first of all, thank you for being the first person to go ahead. Well done with regards to that. Wonderful story, and serves that squirrel right, I think, for that. And you definitely got revenge on that squirrel. Okay, let's move now to the next group. And I see Carol has been nice enough to post the groups in the chat for me. So I guess it's Janet, Max, and Carolyn next.
That's right, Jim. Fellow Toastmasters, I'm getting ready for my very first post-Zoom Toastmasters meeting. I'm so excited. It's going to be live. There's going to be real human people there. Where's my pants? Not sure. We got a pile of PJs here. Lots of PJ bottoms. Well, that's looking a little worn out. Probably not that one. You can get to the store without real pants these days. So, okay, these flannel, they're not too, there, I'm wearing the flannel ones. So I guess the next thing is I have to walk there.
Actually, Janet, you're forgetting about how much fun we had with the slippers that everybody was wearing.
Oh my goodness. Yes.
You remember the ones that Joan had on?
Oh, that's right. They were the bunny ones with the big googly eyes. And every time you stepped, it went me and we and we and we. Yeah, she was borrowing them from her grandkids. Just, yes. I think a little too much grandkid time has been going on there. And on the meeting itself, you know, we're talking about real life sweaty bodies that you can touch, and they're in my 6 foot zone. I'm a little bit kerfuffled there, and couldn't find the camera. So where am I supposed to look? I know it's not called a podium, but Carolyn hasn't told me what the proper name.
Lectern. It is the lectern. You're giving words.
There's no lens on it, so how do I know if I'm staring at the right place? I don't know. So yeah, smells, right? You get used to your own body odor, and frankly, you've just spent 18 months with the same spouse, so you're pretty well zoned out for all the weird smells that you got yourself. But now I'm with a whole bunch of people, and we're not talking, again, they're within that 6 feet. So what do? So I thought I better put my mask back on, and I went to look for it. I don't have any spare masks in my pocket. What do you do when you're maskless? I'm not prepared for this. So you can't hear me very good when you're talking to my hand. Really. So I thought my very first Zoom would be a hug fest and joy and love and dancing. But boy, everything has changed. People are sweaty in person. So that's the funny thing that happened to me on the way to my Toastmasters meeting. Back to you.
Oh, well done. Yes. You make the meeting in person not sound so good with regards to people being sweaty. I think I'm going to stick with Zoom myself. Very humorous. Well done. All right, next group, I believe, is Alan and Melissa.
Okay, thank you, Jim. Thank you, fellow Toastmasters. Well, a really funny thing happened to me on the way to the Toastmasters meeting tonight. As I was getting into our car, Melissa and I jumped in, and the car would not start. It broke down. We thought, what are we going to do? How are we going to get there? We've got to get there on time, because if we don't, Joan will get angry with us because we didn't start on time. So we jumped on the back of Melissa's horse and we started cantering to the meeting. The horse was quite slow, though. He would not keep up with traffic. And lo and behold, we were pulled over by the police. We explained to the policeman as he was writing us a ticket that we were late and we needed to get to our Toastmaster meeting. Just at about that point, the horse grabbed the policeman's hat and started chewing on it. Well, he was furious, and he made us get out of the car and get the speech, and he wanted to know what we were going to talk about. So as we nervously recited the speech to the police officer without looking at our notes, he calmed down, and strangely enough, he wanted to evaluate us. He gave us a scathing evaluation, and much to our surprise, he offered us a ride to the meeting. And what was even weirder is he said, "Here, go ahead, you can drive." Well, this was something new. We had never, ever driven a police car before, and I was very excited. So we turned the lights on and put the siren on and hit it, and we drove as fast as we could. When we got to the meeting, the policeman came in with us and decided to join the meeting. And since he found out that we were looking for new members, he even became a Toastmaster that night. Joan was ecstatic. And he even gave us a speech on proper police procedures for investigating a crime scene. We were so scared when he took his gun out and showed how to load and shoot it. Strangely enough, the horse had found its way to the meeting as well and stuck his head in the window. Just then, the officer shot the gun and accidentally shot the horse. Back to you, Madam Toast. Back to you, Jim.
Oh, that's so sad, that poor horse. Oh, that's sort of a dream come true for me. I'd love to drive a police car at one point. Authorized by the police, of course. All right, next group is Brittany and Cheryl. Over to them.
Thank you, Jim. Dear Diary, today I finally got my revenge. See, I wanted to be the Minister of Snow Removal for the North Pole. And I was so excited about how I could do this, and I had started my campaign. And then I was sitting in a meeting with all the other ministers and the Prime Minister. And right before I was about to say my speech, thunk, something hit my head. It was gum, a ball of gum the size of my fist. I looked behind me. The Prime Minister threw it at me. Now, I won't tell you which one, but he's known for his good hair, and he was a little jealous of how I looked. I was just mortified. What was I going to do? I was about to run my campaign to be the snow removal person. Well, I'll be honest, I had to get a pixie cut. And before this situation, I never would have cut my hair short. But as I looked at myself in the mirror and I felt my short locks, I realized I look pretty dang good. And suddenly this confidence built up inside me, and I thought, why would I be the minister of snow removal for the North Pole when I could be prime minister? So I changed my plans and I ran against the prime minister because suddenly I had this confidence that I didn't have before. Well, diary, I'll tell you what happened. I won, and no one even came close. Not even that previous prime minister with the good hair. My hair helped me win the election. And I brought in a new Hera. Back to you, Jim.
All right, well done, well done. Excellent imagination from all four groups, and yeah, I could imagine that a certain prime minister would be a little upset about someone having better hair than he does. All right, now I want to confirm that's it. The four groups. Have I missed anybody? All right, I think we're good. All right, so those were all fantastic. I love them. I like that a couple of you decided ignore Jim's subjects. We'll do our own. Wonderful imagination there. And I loved how two groups took the subjects that I had and put twists to them that I wouldn't have thought of. So really well done. That is it for my presentation. I wouldn't mind, and if I had been thinking, I would have sent you all a evaluation form. But if you want to just give me some feedback, I'm putting my email in the chat. Jim@telus.net will come to me. And if you have suggestions for improvement, I'd be happy to hear them because I love that kind of feedback. And if you have things that you liked about the presentation and say, Jim, don't change that, I'd like to hear that too. This is the first time I've done it over Zoom. It's only the second time I've done this presentation. The first time I've done it over Zoom. And I think it turned out pretty good, actually.
I think it was awesome. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I'm going to pat myself on the back again, so I'm good at that. So I don't know if I should turn it over to someone else to close, Marg, or...
I'm not sure either, because we usually have a chat time after that we sit and discuss. I think we just call the meeting. We're done. We want to thank you so much, Jim, for the time and effort you put into
my pleasure.
your presentation, and then spending the time with us and helping us understand a little bit more about Tall Tales. I really appreciate it. I know our club does as well. I have been in Toastmasters since 2018, and I didn't even know what Tall Tales were till this year. So I think it's exciting. When you take contests out, I think it leaves holes in your curriculum, but that's just my opinion. So I'm thrilled. I'm happy. Everybody else, how are you doing? Give us some cheers and unmute yourself. And
Great, Jim. Thank you so much.